Ambassador Elena Vasquez walked through the long corridor leading to the Galactic Council chamber. Her black boots clicked against the smooth metal floor. Around her, alien creatures moved in groups, talking in languages that sounded like music, growls and clicking sounds. None of them looked at her. To them, she was just another human, just another servant. Elena carried a small data pad in her right hand. On it was everything humanity wanted to say, everything they had tried to say for 150 years. Today would be the last time they asked nicely. The great doors to the council chamber opened with a soft hiss. Elena stepped inside and stopped. The room was huge. It stretched up so high she could barely see the ceiling. Thousands of seats filled the space in perfect circles. Each seat held a different alien species. Some had fur, some had scales, some looked like giant insects. Others were just clouds of gas floating in glass containers. Elena walked to the center of the room. A small platform waited for her there. She stepped onto it, and the platform began to rise. As it lifted her up, she could see more and more of the alien faces looking down at her. Most looked bored. Some looked angry. A few looked like they were laughing. The platform stopped moving. Elena was now in the center of the room where everyone could see her. A voice spoke from somewhere above. It was translated into her language. By machines, the human representative may speak. Elena looked around the room one more time. She saw the tall, blue-skinned Zephyrians sitting in the best seats. They ruled the empire. Their leader, High Chancellor Zektar, sat on a throne made of some kind of glowing crystal. He was looking at his own datapad and not paying attention to her. Near the Zephyrians sat the Corvin. They looked like giant lizards wearing armor. They were the Empire's army. Their general, Thoxkar, was cleaning his claws with a small knife. He was also not looking at Elena. Elena pressed a button on her datapad. The room's main screen lit up. Images appeared showing human colonies, but these were not happy pictures. They showed humans working in deep mines, digging for metals and crystals. The humans in the pictures looked tired and sick. Many had chains around their feet. For 150 years, Elena began, humanity has served the Galactic Empire. We have given you our best minds. We have given you our strongest workers. We have given you our most valuable resources. Some aliens in the crowd made sounds that the translator turned into laughter. Elena pressed another button. New pictures appeared. These showed human children in cages. They were being used to test new medicines and weapons. We came to you in peace, Elena continued. We offered friendship. We offered to share our knowledge and work together. Instead, you made us slaves. High Chancellor Zektar finally looked up from his datapad. His large black eyes stared at Elena with no emotion. We have asked you many times to treat us fairly, Elena said. We have begged you to free our people from the mines. We have pleaded with you to stop using our children for experiments. Every time you have said no. General Thoxkar stood up in his seat. When he spoke, his voice was like rocks grinding together. Humans are useful, he said. You are strong enough to work, but not strong enough to fight back. You are smart enough to solve problems, but not smart enough to cause trouble. Why would we change something that works so well? Many aliens in the room made approval sounds. Elena felt anger growing in her chest, but she kept her face calm. Today I bring you one final message from all of humanity, Elena said. Her voice was steady and clear. Release our people from slavery. Stop taking our children. Give us the same rights as other species in the Empire. Do this and we will continue to work with you in peace. High Chancellor Zektar stood up. He was very tall, almost 3 meters high. When he spoke, his voice filled the entire room. And if we refuse? He asked. Elena looked directly at him. For the first time since entering the room, she smiled. Then you will learn why humans survived on a world where everything tried to kill us, she said. You will learn why we built ships that could cross the void between stars. You will learn why we never, ever give up. The room exploded with alien voices. Some were laughing. Others were angry. Elena heard the word threat translated many times. High Chancellor Zektar raised one long blue hand. The room became quiet. The Galactic Empire does not negotiate with servants, he said. Humans will continue to serve as they always have. In fact, we have decided to increase what you owe us. You will send twice as many workers to our mines. You will give us twice as many of your smart children for our research. He paused, and his black eyes seemed to glow. If Earth refuses to obey, we will turn your homeworld into dust. Elena nodded, slowly. She had expected this answer. Humanity had hoped for peace, but they had prepared for war. I understand, Elena said. She reached into her pocket and pulled out a small device. It was no bigger than her thumb and made of black metal. What is that? General Thoxcar demanded. This is a message, Elena said. A message to my people. A message that tells them your final answer. She pressed a button on the device. It made a soft beeping sound. Congratulations, Elena said. You have just made the biggest mistake in galactic history. The device beeped 3 times, then went silent. High Chancellor Zektar laughed. It was a cold, cruel sound. Remove this human, he ordered. Put her on the next ship to the labor camps. As alien guards moved toward her platform, Elena looked up at all the faces staring down at her. You think humans are weak because we tried to talk first, she said. You think we are stupid because we offered peace. You are wrong. We tried to save you from yourselves. The guards reached her platform. They grabbed her arms with hands that felt like metal claws. Remember this day, Elena said as they dragged her away. Remember that we gave you a choice. We offered you peace, and you chose war. The great doors closed behind her with a final, echoing sound. In the darkness of space, far from any star, something began to move. Something that had been waiting and watching. Something that had hoped this day would never come. The beacon Elena had activated sent its signal across the galaxy. In hidden places, human ships received the message. In secret bases, human soldiers put on their armor. In laboratories that officially did not exist, human scientists pressed buttons that would change everything. The Galactic Empire had made its choice. Now, humanity would make theirs. Admiral Sarah Chen stood on the bridge of the ship called Prometheus. Around her, the darkness of space stretched in all directions. No stars were close enough to give light. No planets existed in this empty place between star systems. This was the void, where the Galactic Empire never looked because they thought nothing important could survive here. They were wrong. A soft beeping sound came from the communication station. Lieutenant Torres looked up from his screen. Admiral, he said. We're receiving the beacon signal. Sarah felt her heart beat faster. For 20 years, she had hoped this day would never come. For 20 years, she had prepared for it anyway. Are you certain? She asked. Yes, ma'am. 3 beeps, pause, 3 beeps, pause, 3 beeps. That's Ambassador Vasquez's final warning signal. Sarah closed her eyes for a moment. When she opened them again, they were hard as steel. Send the activation code to all ships in the fleet, she ordered. Operation Awakening begins now. Around the Prometheus, space began to change. What had looked like empty darkness was suddenly full of light. Ship after ship appeared as their hiding systems turned off. Each ship was painted black to hide in space, but now their lights came on like stars being born. Sarah watched as her fleet revealed itself. 500 ships. 500 ships that the Galactic Empire did not know existed. Ships built in secret factories hidden in asteroid fields. Ships crewed by humans who were supposed to be dead. Fleet status report, Sarah called out. All 500 ships responding, Admiral, came the reply. The Liberation Fleet is ready for battle. Sarah had not always been an admiral. 25 years ago, she had been Captain Chen of the Empire Navy. She had served the Empire faithfully, believing they would treat humans fairly if she proved herself. She had been young and foolish then. Everything changed the day she tried to protect human civilians on the colony world of New Hope. Empire soldiers were taking human children away from their families. Sarah had tried to stop them. The Empire. Court-martial said she was guilty of treason. They stripped away her rank and sent her to a prison camp, but the human resistance had other plans. They faked her death and brought her to the void. Here, she learned the truth. While humanity appeared to serve the Empire with smiles and bows, they were building something the aliens could never imagine. They were building hope. "Admiral," called Commander Webb from the science station, "all stellar igniter devices are ready for deployment." Sarah turned to look at the thin man with gray hair and tired eyes. Dr. Marcus Webb had once been the Empire's top human scientist. He had helped them build better weapons and faster ships. Then he discovered what they planned to do with his inventions. The Empire wanted to use his technology to make it easier to enslave other species. That was the day Marcus Webb disappeared from his laboratory. The Empire believed he had killed himself rather than continue working. They found his body in the river and buried it with honors. But the body belonged to someone else. Marcus was already in the void working on projects the Empire would never see coming. "Tell me about the igniters again," Sarah said. Marcus pulled up a display on the main screen. It showed a device the size of a small car. It looked simple, but Sarah knew it contained the power to destroy star systems. "Each igniter can destabilize a star's core," Marcus explained. "When activated, it causes the star to burn much faster and hotter. Within hours, the star becomes unstable. Within days, it explodes in a supernova." "How many do we have?" 57 devices, Admiral. Enough to destroy every major Empire world if necessary." Sarah felt sick thinking about it. The igniters could kill billions of people, but the Empire had left humanity no choice. They had chosen war. "What about our people still on Empire worlds?" Sarah asked. Lieutenant Commander Rodriguez stepped forward. He was responsible for coordinating with human agents throughout the galaxy. "Our sleeper agents are in position," he reported. "For 150 years, humans have served the Empire. We clean their buildings, fix their machines, cook their food, and raise their children. They never noticed that some of us were taking notes and making plans." Sarah nodded. The sleeper agents were humans who appeared to be loyal servants but were actually gathering information and preparing for this day. They worked in Empire factories, military bases, and government buildings. Some of them had been preparing for decades. "How many agents do we have?" Sarah asked. "Over 10,000 on major Empire worlds," Rodriguez replied. "They have access to power plants, communication centers, weapons factories, and starship construction yards. When we give the signal, they can cripple the Empire's ability to fight back." Sarah walked to the front of the bridge and looked out at her fleet. Each ship represented years of secret work. Each ship was crewed by humans who had given up everything to make this moment possible. "Open a channel to all ships," Sarah ordered. "Channel open, Admiral." Sarah took a deep breath. What she said next would start a war. "This is Admiral Chen speaking to all ships of the Liberation Fleet," she began. 24 hours ago, Ambassador Vasquez offered the Empire one final chance for peace. They chose to increase our suffering instead. They chose to threaten our homeworld with destruction." She paused and looked around the bridge. Every face was focused on her. "Today we show them what happens when you push humanity too far," she continued. "We are not the weak servants they think we are. We are the descendants of people who survived ice ages and plagues. We are the children of explorers who crossed oceans and space to find new worlds. We are humans and we do not break." Cheers came from the communication system as crews on other ships responded. "Our first target is the Corvan military world of Durkan," Sarah announced. 50,000 human prisoners are held there. They are our people and we are going to bring them home." Sarah looked at her navigation officer. "Set course for Durkan, maximum speed." "Course laid in, Admiral. All ships prepare for hyperspace jump. We have been hiding in the dark long enough. It's time to step into the light." The Prometheus and its fleet disappeared from the void in flashes of brilliant light. They were no longer hiding. They were no longer waiting. The human liberation of the galaxy had begun. On Empire worlds throughout the galaxy, humans who had served alien masters for generations received secret messages on hidden communication devices. The messages were simple. "The beacon has been activated. Begin Phase 1. In factories, human workers quietly sabotaged production lines. In military bases, human technicians introduced computer viruses into Empire systems. In government buildings, human servants copied important files and sent them to the Resistance. The Empire had always seen humans as invisible. Now that invisibility would become their greatest weakness. Admiral Sarah Chen smiled as her ship flew through hyperspace toward battle. The Empire had spent 150 years teaching humanity how to serve. Now humanity would teach the Empire how to fear. The Durkan system had two suns. The main star was large and bright. The second star was smaller and red. Between them sat the fortress world of Durkan, covered in metal buildings and weapon platforms. This was where the Corvan military trained their soldiers and built their warships. It was also where they kept 50,000 human prisoners. Admiral Sarah Chen stood on the bridge of the Prometheus as her fleet dropped out of hyperspace. Through the main screen, she could see Durkan floating in space like a gray metal ball. Around it, hundreds of Corvan warships patrolled in formation. "Enemy fleet detected," reported Lieutenant Torres. "Counting 412 Corvan vessels. They're moving to intercept us." "Good," Sarah said. "Let them come to us. Helm, take us to position Alpha 7. All ships, follow attack pattern Delta." Captain James Rodriguez watched from his position near the back of the bridge. He was not thinking about the battle ahead. He was thinking about his daughter Maria. She had been taken from their colony world 3 years ago when she was only 15 years old. Intelligence reports said she was somewhere on Durkan. Today, he would either save her or die trying. "Admiral," called Commander Webb from the science station. "The Corvan fleet is arranging itself in their traditional attack formation. 3 layers of heavy ships, with smaller ships protecting the flanks." Sarah smiled. The Corvan always fought the same way. They believed in honor and direct combat. They would line up their biggest ships and charge forward, trying to overwhelm their enemies with superior firepower. "They still think we fight like them?" Sarah said. "All ships. Execute. Ghost protocol." The human fleet suddenly disappeared. One moment 500 ships were flying toward Durkan. The next moment the space looked empty. On the Corvan command ship, General Thoxcar stared at his screens in confusion. "Where did they go?" he roared. "Unknown, General," replied his communications officer. "All human ships have vanished from our sensors." "Impossible! Ships cannot just disappear." But they had. The human ships were still there, but they were using technology the Empire had never seen. Each ship was surrounded by a field that bent light and energy around it. To sensors and eyes, they looked like empty space. Human ships appearing on our port side, shouted a Corvan officer. "Impossible, our sensors show nothing there." 20 human ships materialized right next to the Corvan fleet. They opened fire with weapons that seemed to appear from nowhere. Corvan ships exploded before they could return fire. Then the human ships disappeared again. "Now they're behind us," screamed another officer. General Thoxcar spun around to see human ships attacking from the rear. But when his ships turned to fight back, the humans vanished again. "This is not honorable combat," General Thoxcar growled. "No," said Admiral Chen over the communication channel. "This is war." The battle became chaos. Human ships appeared and disappeared like ghosts. They struck without warning and vanished before the Corvan could respond. The Empire's carefully organized fleet formation fell apart as ships tried to fight enemies they could not see. But the humans had more surprises. "Launch the swarm," Sarah ordered. From the human ships came thousands of small objects that looked like metal insects. They were drones, controlled by artificial intelligence. Each drone was no bigger than a person's hand, but they carried powerful explosives. The drones moved too fast for Corvan weapons to hit them. They swarmed around the Empire ships like angry bees. Some drones attacked the ship's engines, others went for their weapon systems. A few found their way inside through air vents and began destroying important equipment from within. "Admiral," Lieutenant Torres reported, 40% of the Corvan fleet is disabled. The rest are trying to retreat." "Don't let them leave," Sarah said. "Use the virus." Commander Webb pressed a series of buttons on his console. Throughout the Corvan fleet, computer systems began to malfunction. For years, humans had been secretly working on Empire technology. They had hidden computer programs that could take control of alien systems. Now those programs activated. Corvin ships suddenly turned their weapons on each other. Their own computers thought friendly ships were enemies. In minutes, the remaining Empire fleet was destroying itself. Corvin fleet neutralized, Torres reported. Good. Captain Rodriguez, take your team to the surface. Find our people. Yes, ma'am. James Rodriguez led a team of 50 soldiers down to Durkan in fast transport ships. They landed near the prison complex where human prisoners were kept. The buildings were made of dark metal and surrounded by high walls topped with energy barriers. The rescue team moved quickly. They used small explosives to blow holes in the walls. Human prisoners inside heard the explosions and began to cheer. This is Captain Rodriguez of the Liberation Fleet, James announced over loudspeakers. We're here to take you home. But as they searched the prison buildings, James found something that made his blood turn cold. In the deepest part of the complex was a laboratory. Inside were tables covered with medical equipment. On the walls were charts showing human anatomy. The Corvin had been experimenting on human prisoners. James found rooms full of children who had been used to test new medicines and weapons. Many were sick, some were dying. In the last room, he found his daughter Maria. She was alive, but barely. The aliens had used her to test a new type of poison. Maria looked up at her father with eyes that were too old for her 18-year-old face. Papa, she whispered. I'm here, baby, James said, lifting her carefully. We're going home. As the rescue operation continued, Admiral Chen made a decision that would change everything. She looked at the 2 stars hanging in space above Durkan. Dr. Webb, she said, deploy a stellar igniter on the secondary star. Admiral, are you certain? The explosion will destroy this entire system. The Corvin chose to torture our children, Sarah said. They chose to treat humans like laboratory animals. Let this system be a message to the rest of the Empire. Tekoen. Stellar igniter was launched toward the smaller red star. It looked like a simple metal cylinder, but inside was technology that could kill stars. All rescue teams, return to the ships immediately, Sarah ordered. We have 10 minutes before ignition. The human fleet gathered up their people and retreated to a safe distance. Behind them, the stellar igniter reached the red star and burrowed deep into its core. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the star began to glow brighter, and brighter, and brighter. Stellar collapse in progress, Dr. Webb reported. Supernova. In 3, 2, 1. The red star exploded. The explosion was brighter than 1,000 suns. It lit up the entire system and sent waves of energy racing outward. Durkan was vaporized instantly. The Corvin fleet that had been retreating was caught in the blast and destroyed. Within hours, news of Durkan's destruction spread across the galaxy. The Galactic Empire learned that humans possessed weapons that could kill stars. Admiral Chen looked at the expanding cloud of gas and energy that had once been the Corvin military stronghold. Send a message to the Galactic Council, she said. Tell them we have 56 more of those devices. Tell them we have a list of 56 Empire worlds. Tell them this is what happens when you hurt our children. In the medical bay of the Prometheus, Captain Rodriguez sat beside his daughter's bed. She was going to live. The doctor said she would recover completely. Did we win, Papa? Maria asked. James looked out the window at the expanding supernova. We just got started, baby, he said. We just got started. High Chancellor Zekatar stood in the emergency session of the Galactic Council. The great chamber was filled with angry voices and frightened aliens. On the main screen, images showed the empty space where Durkan used to be, where a star system had existed just days ago. Now there was only expanding gas and debris. 50 billion Corvin are dead, General Thoxcar reported. His voice shook with rage and fear. An entire star system destroyed. The humans have weapons we cannot understand. How is this possible? Demanded Chancellor Vex of the Aquarian Federation. Humans are primitive. They barely had spaceflight when we found them. Not anymore, said Intelligence Director Kayla. Our spies report that humans have been building weapons and ships in secret for decades. They have technology we have never seen before. Zektar slammed his fist on his throne. The sound echoed through the chamber. Then we will destroy them all, he declared. I am ordering the complete extermination of the human species. Every human world will burn. Every human ship will be destroyed. Every human man, woman, and child will die. Some aliens in the chamber made sounds of approval. Others looked uncomfortable. The peaceful collective representative stood up. Chancellor, perhaps we should negotiate, she said. The humans seem to want only freedom for their people. Silence. Zektar roared. Humans are servants. Servants do not make demands. Servants do not destroy star systems. They will be eliminated. He turned to General Thoxkar. Mobilize every fleet in the Empire. Call back every ship from patrol duty. I want 10,000 ships attacking human space within 1 week. Yes, Chancellor, Thoxkar replied. But as the Empire prepared for total war, they did not know that humans were listening to every word. Ambassador Elena Vasquez sat in a prison cell on the Empire capital world. But hidden in her hair was a tiny communication device. She heard everything and transmitted it to the Resistance. Admiral, came the voice through the communication system, on the Prometheus. This is Elena. The Empire is mobilizing everything they have. 10,000 ships heading for Earth. Admiral Sarah Chen felt ice in her stomach. 10,000 ships was more than her fleet could handle in direct combat. How long do we have? She asked. 1 week, maybe less. Sarah turned to her officers. All ships return to Earth immediately. We need to prepare our defenses. The human home system was not what it appeared to be. For 150 years, humans had been secretly turning their solar system into a fortress. The moon was not just a natural satellite anymore. Inside it was the largest weapons platform ever built. Mars had been hollowed out and turned into a massive shipyard where new human vessels were constructed. The asteroid belt between Mars and Jupiter contained thousands of hidden mining stations and weapons platforms. Even Earth itself had been prepared. Under the planet's surface was a network of fusion reactors powerful enough to generate a planetary shield. The shield could protect Earth from almost any attack. Fleet status report, Sarah called as her ships arrived in the solar system. All 500 ships present and accounted for, reported Lieutenant Torres. Luna Base is armed and ready. Mars shipyards have completed construction of 200 additional vessels. What about the sleeper agents throughout the Empire? Ready for activation, Admiral. They're waiting for your signal. Sarah looked at the tactical display showing the Empire fleets moving toward Earth. 10,000 ships against 700 human vessels. The numbers did not look good. Dr. Webb, she said. How many stellar igniters do we have left? 56 devices ready for deployment, Admiral. Sarah made a decision that would change the galaxy forever. Send a message to all human agents throughout the Empire, she ordered. Operation Prometheus is authorized. Tell them to begin Phase 3. Throughout Empire space, humans who had served as invisible servants for generations suddenly revealed their true purpose. In shipyards, human workers activated computer viruses that turned automated construction systems against Empire vessels. In military bases, human technicians caused weapons to malfunction during training exercises. On the Zephyrian homeworld, a human cook named David Kim worked in the Chancellor's palace. For 30 years, he had prepared meals and cleaned floors. The aliens barely noticed him. They did not know he was also a master computer hacker. David walked into the palace's main computer center. The guards were used to seeing him clean there. They did not pay attention as he plugged a small device into the central computer system. Within minutes, every computer on the planet began receiving false information. Military computers thought enemy fleets were attacking. Banking systems transferred all money to random accounts. Communication networks sent every message to the wrong destination. Similar attacks happened on dozens of Empire worlds. The aliens discovered that humans had access to almost every important system in their civilization. The servants they had, ignored for so long, were destroying their empire from within. But the Empire still had their massive fleet, and it was almost at Earth. Enemy fleet dropping out of hyperspace, reported Torres. 10,000 ships confirmed. Through the main screen, Sarah could see the Empire fleet spreading out in attack formation. There were so many ships they blocked out the stars. "This is General Thoxcar," came a voice over the communication system. "Surrender now and we will make your deaths quick." "This is Admiral Chen," Sarah replied. "You have one chance to turn around and leave our system." Thoxcar laughed. "You have 700 ships. We have 10,000. You cannot win." "Numbers are not everything, General." Sarah turned to her weapons officer. "Activate the Luna defense grid." Earth's moon suddenly lit up like a small star. Weapons ports opened all across its surface. Energy beams and missile swarms launched toward the Empire fleet. The moon had been turned into a weapon the size of a small planet. At the same time, hidden platforms throughout the asteroid belt began firing. Mars launched hundreds of newly built human ships. Earth's planetary shield activated, covering the planet in a dome of pure energy. The Empire fleet found itself trapped. They had expected to fight 700 ships. Instead, they were fighting an entire solar system that had been turned into a weapon. "Impossible!" General Thoxcar screamed as his flagship was hit by multiple energy beams, but the Empire had one final card to play. In the center of their fleet was a massive ship bigger than anything humans had ever built. It was the Empire's ultimate weapon, a planet killer. "Target the human homeworld," Thoxcar ordered. "Charge the planet killer beam." Sarah watched in horror as the massive weapon began to glow. One shot from that device would destroy Earth and everyone on it. "All ships," she ordered. "Protect Earth at all costs." Human vessels threw themselves between the planet killer and Earth. They fired everything they had at the massive ship, but it was protected by heavy armor and energy shields. The planet killer's beam reached full power. "Firing," Thoxcar announced, but as the beam launched toward Earth, Sarah made the most terrible decision of her life. "Dr. Webb," she said quietly, "activate all remaining stellar igniters. Target every Empire core world simultaneously." "Admiral, that will kill billions of people." "They just tried to kill every human on Earth," Sarah replied. "Do it." Across the galaxy, 56 Empire worlds suddenly found small objects appearing near their stars. The stellar igniters burrowed into stellar cores and began their work. "General Thoxcar," Sarah said over the communication system, "look at your long-range sensors." Thoxcar's face went pale as his sensors showed him the truth. 56 stars in Empire space were beginning to destabilize. "Your homeworld has 4 hours before its star explodes," Sarah said. "Withdraw your fleet now or watch your entire civilization burn." The planet killer beam struck Earth's shield and was absorbed harmlessly. General Thoxcar stared at his screens in horror. He could save his fleet, or he could save his people. He could not do both. "All ships," he said finally. "Retreat. Return to home systems immediately." The Empire fleet turned and fled toward their dying worlds, but for many of them, it was already too late. The first star died 2 hours after the Empire fleet retreated from Earth. Admiral Sarah Chen watched the long-range sensors as the Corvin homeworld sun exploded in a supernova. The light from the explosion would take years to reach other systems, but the gravitational waves were felt immediately throughout the galaxy. "Corvin Prime is gone," reported Lieutenant Torres. His voice was quiet and sad. Sarah felt sick. 15 billion Corvin had lived on that world. Now they were all dead. Men, women, children, and elderly. All gone because their leaders chose war over peace. "Admiral," called Dr. Webb from the science station, "we're detecting evacuation fleets from 43 Empire worlds. They're trying to save as many people as possible before their stars explode." "And the other 13 worlds?" "No evacuation activity detected. Either they don't believe us, or they can't organize evacuations in time." Sarah closed her eyes. In the next few hours, hundreds of billions of people would die. The human weapons would kill more aliens in one day than had died in 1,000 years of galactic war. "Admiral," said Commander Rodriguez, "incoming transmission from the Galactic Council. Put it through." The main screen lit up showing the emergency council chamber. But instead of High Chancellor Zektar on his throne, there was chaos. Alien representatives were shouting at each other in dozens of languages. Many seats were empty as species representatives rushed home to save their people. "This is Chancellor Vex of the Aquarians," came a voice over the noise. "Admiral Chen, please respond." "I'm here," Sarah said. "In the name of all peaceful species, we beg you to stop this madness. Billions of innocent people are about to die." Sarah felt anger rise in her chest. "Where were you when human children were being tortured? Where were you when our people were enslaved? Where were you when we begged for help? We didn't know how bad it was. You knew. You just didn't care because it wasn't happening to your people." On the screen, Sarah could see Zephyrian representatives frantically talking into communication devices. Their blue skin had turned pale with fear. "What do you want?" Chancellor Vex asked. "What will make you stop the weapons?" Sarah looked around her bridge. Every human face was watching her. The decision was hers alone. "I want High Chancellor Zektar," she said. "I want him arrested and brought to trial for crimes against humanity. I want General Thoxkar and every other leader who ordered the torture of human prisoners." "Done," said Chancellor Vex immediately. "I want every human slave freed. I want reparations paid to the families of those who were killed. I want humans given the same rights as every other species in the galaxy." "Agreed. Anything else?" Sarah paused. She thought about Ambassador Elena Vasquez still sitting in a prison cell. She thought about Captain Rodriguez's daughter Maria, still recovering from alien experiments. She thought about all the humans who had suffered for 150 years. "I want the Galactic Empire dissolved," she said. "No more empire. No more species ruling over others. Every world governs itself." The council chamber fell silent. Even the shouting stopped. That would mean the end of galactic civilization as we know it," Chancellor Vex said. "Good," Sarah replied. "Your civilization was built on slavery and suffering. Let it end. If we agree to all your demands, will you stop the weapons?" Sarah looked at Dr. Webb. He was monitoring the stellar igniters throughout the galaxy. 12 more stars will explode no matter what we do," Sarah said. "The process has gone too far to stop, but I can prevent the others from detonating." "Then we agree to everything. Please save who you can." Sarah nodded to Dr. Webb. He began entering commands into his console. "Sending shutdown codes to 44 stellar igniters," he reported. "Devices are powering down. Those stars will remain stable." Across the galaxy, billions of aliens who had been fleeing their homeworlds stopped and looked up at their suns. The stars were no longer growing brighter. They would live, but 12 worlds were not so lucky. Over the next 6 hours, 12 more suns exploded. The Zephyrian homeworld was among them. High Chancellor Zektar died along with his entire species. General Thoxkar survived because he was in space when his homeworld star died. But when his ship returned to Empire space, human vessels were waiting for him. He was arrested and taken to trial for war crimes. 3 months later, Elena Vasquez stood in the same council chamber where she had delivered humanity's final warning. But everything had changed. The great throne where Zektar once sat was gone. In its place was a simple podium where representatives could speak as equals. The Galactic Empire was dead. In its place, the newly formed Galactic Federation gave every species the right to govern themselves. No species could enslave another. No species could force others to serve them. Elena had been elected as the first human representative to the Federation Council. But more importantly, she had been chosen by all the former slave species to be the Federation's first chancellor. "The Iwanaudian chair recognizes Chancellor Vasquez," announced the council secretary. Elena stood and looked around the chamber. Many of the seats were empty. 13 species had been completely destroyed when their stars exploded. Others had lost most of their population and were still rebuilding. "Today marks 1 year since the end of the Empire," Elena began. 1 year since the worst and most necessary war in galactic history. "We gather not to celebrate, but to remember." She pressed a button and the main screen showed images of the destroyed worlds. Pictures of Corvan families, Zephyrian children, and billions of other aliens who had died in the stellar explosions. "These people died because their leaders chose war over peace," Elena continued. "They died because powerful species believed they had the right to enslave weaker ones. They died because the galaxy forgot that every thinking being deserves freedom. She paused and looked directly at the camera that was broadcasting to every world in the galaxy. Humanity did terrible things to win this war. We killed billions of innocent people. We destroyed entire civilizations. We carry that guilt, and always will. But we also remember why we fought. The screen changed to show images of human children in cages, human workers in chains, human families torn apart. We fought because you gave us no choice. We begged for peace and you gave us war. We asked for justice and you gave us suffering. When diplomacy failed, we did what humans have always done when threatened with extinction. We survived. Elena's voice grew stronger. Today, no species serves another as slaves. Today, every world governs itself. Today, the strong protect the weak instead of exploiting them. This is what we bought with our terrible war. This is why so many died. She looked around the chamber one more time. The galaxy will never again see an empire built on slavery. Humanity will make sure of that. We have proven we can destroy stars. Now we will prove we can protect the peace those stars died to create. In the end, humanity had kept its promise. They had given the galaxy one final warning. When that warning was ignored, they had shown what happened when you pushed humans too far. The Empire had chosen war, and the galaxy had learned that when humans fight for their freedom, worlds truly do burn. But from those ashes, something better had grown. A galaxy where no one would ever again have to choose between slavery and death. Admiral Sarah Chen retired to a small farm on Earth. Every morning, she looked up at the sun and remembered the stars that had died. Every evening, she read messages from free people across the galaxy thanking humanity for their sacrifice. The war was over, the peace had begun, and humanity stood guard to make sure it would last forever.